Today's episode is sponsored by Friendly Otter Records. Friendly Otter, a small label started in Chicago, now based in New Orleans, focuses on connecting bands outside the country into our DIY community. From emotive hardcore to noise, folk, to lo-fi bedroom records, we strive to be the one label that will make you dinner when you come around. Hello, and welcome to Everything Remade, a podcast that I hope is about growth as much as it is about music. I'm Edie Quinn, and we have a great show lined up for you today. Before we get started, though, I'd like to remind you about our Patreon page at patreon.com/humanmachine, where you can go to sign up and support the show, get music sneak peeks, read zines, and get so much more. That's patreon.com/humanmachine. And now, I'd like to play something for you. You're hearing Softer Synaptic by It's You, It's Me, and There's Dancing, featuring my new pals, Catherine, on guitar and keyboards, and Chris on vocals. The song comes from their new album, Tell Me About It, which releases February 14th.
Me and Catherine, we were aware of each other about 7 or 8 years ago. We had a lot of similar friends. We'd bump into each other at shows a couple times, but we weren't very close. About like 2.5, 3 years ago now, we were both kind of at the same time looking to start new projects. Our previous projects had kind of like just fallen apart or just fizzled out. And it was just like posting on Instagram sort of deal that like, hey, like I do vocals as per usual. I'm looking to start a band. Catherine plays like a whole bunch of stuff. She was looking to start a band as well. And our friend Carmen, actually, who is in the band now, like wasn't in the initial lineup, but joined like a couple years in. She kind of pointed us towards each other and was like, hey, like, do you know Catherine? Catherine, do you know Chris? Like, you guys should probably try to make something together. We didn't have I don't think we have like a huge amount in common, like musically. And it was sort of a funny conversation in the beginning of like, how are we, like, what do we want to play? And, but I was really instantly kind of drawn to Catherine's like work ethic. And I feel like it can, like, that's who I usually work best with is, like more so than like a bunch of types of music in common. If I see someone like really wants to put in work and stay busy and like try to accomplish things. And so I think we kind of hit it off right away like that. And we started kind of talking about like what kind of band we wanted to make.
Yeah, that's something that comes up a lot, and something that I hark on a lot is that like that means more to me than like someone can be the absolute shredder, but if they won't show up and they're not like they don't really want it, then I don't want it, because it's not going to work out, like this has to be really important to that person, and like I have to like them as a person before any of the other stuff,
Yeah, totally. I think one of the things with that too is like we both just wanted to do stuff that we like wanted to do. Basically, we're like, oh, I don't want to have like a band that just like doesn't want to do stuff, or I don't want to get locked into something. Like, so finding people who just wanted to do it, it made it completely irrelevant. Like, how good are you at your thing was almost like it just isn't that big of a deal. If you care about doing it, we'll make it work.
Yeah. When You were saying, Chris, that y'all didn't have that much in common musically. Like, where were each of you at, like in your tastes or whatever, that they were sort of opposed at first?
I think I was in a lot of like significantly heavier bands than Catherine, and then the other people that we added. Like as the lineup came together, I definitely had the most time in sort of like the hardcore scene. I remember having like a really funny conversation of like hearing the songs that Catherine had brought and kind of the like major key stuff and like upbeat and kind of fun. I felt kind of intimidated because I was like I've always done my vocals like a pretty specific way. I kind of have a shtick. I used to try to shriek, and like that's kind of faded over the years, and it's turned into more of like a bark or a yell. And I was like, I'd love to shout over this stuff, but I can't really sing. I'm kind of intimidated by like melody, but I really wanted to try it out, and I wanted to step out of my comfort zone. And it's something that I've like wanted to experiment with for as long as I've done vocals. And so, yeah, it was mainly just like I'm gonna kind of stomp around and kind of act like a hardcore front person, and I'm gonna bark and yell and shriek at times. But I think we can make something really fun and interesting with like guitars and like rhythm section that aren't so based in like uh, like white belt and grindcore kind of leaning stuff that I had kind of done for the last couple of years.
Would were your vocals pretty much, were they where you are at now, like when you were doing that kind of stuff, or have you
No.
also sort of shifted that?
I've definitely shifted a lot.
Okay, because I can't
The
picture
demo.
that. Like,
Oh, funny.
yeah, I can, because you said you remind me a lot of this band. There's this band called Man Afraid. Have you heard them?
No, no.
Uh-uh.
It's this really wild and like tragic story. Like the vocalist of this band, like he was like he was in the military and it fucking ruined his fucking life. And when he
Oh
got
God.
out, he was like, I need to make a band because I got to get this shit out of my head. And it didn't it didn't end up well for him. And it's like a tragic story,
Mhm.
but like that's the only person that I've really heard that I am like, that's who you remind me of. And
Oh
like
wow.
they have like one album and it's fucking amazing. And like my old band, like we recovered one of the songs at the Fireside Bowl, like only time I ever played Fireside, and just all this. So it's like really this band has a lot of like sentimental, and I'm just like, holy shit, this vocal style rules. But then when you're like, I was playing in like heavier bands, I'm like, I cannot picture that. And but
Uh,
like I can't picture like discordance axis with that, or I don't know what kind of heavier you were talking about, but like yeah, um,
the last band and where I knew Chris from, I guess we weren't like super acquainted, but we were in the same like circles of music and stuff.
sure.
And they played for like a sludge band, like a pretty heavy, very shrieky, slow like sludge metal band. Like when I first saw them perform in any band, but that
Yeah,
was 2018 or 2019.
I think I was pushing way out of my vocal range for a long time. Like I really wanted that like Jerome's Dream, like Senza kind of like bird call shriek,
sure.
and I couldn't quite do it correctly, and so it was just kind of like a really sloppy kind of almost I guess like silencer or like kind of like not like trying really hard but not quite getting it. And so I did that for a long time, and I kind of slowly let go of that. I tried a little bit to kind of like incorporate. Um, I was really nervous about being coherent. Like my lyrics have always been like pretty personal or pretty like intimate, I guess. And I was really scared when I started writing lyrics of kind of sharing that or people kind of picking up on that
Oh,
and being able to make fun of it. And so I wanted it to be like incomprehensible. Um, and so dancing was kind of like I really wanted to try to kill that in me. Like I really wanted to like no, I've been writing lyrics for like a really long time now, like more than 10 years, and I'm actually kind of proud of them. And I think I kind of want people to like hear what I have to say. And so, yeah, I think my biggest influence that I always go on is like middle era, like Ceremony, like Ronert Park. I really love that style of like it's very very aggressive and barking, but you can kind of clearly distinguish like each word that's being said, and
Yeah.
you like can take the message away.
Yeah. I used to have a big issue with that as well, where I would like, I mean, I would enunciate like the middle of the word at the most, because I was just like self conscious about it. But then eventually I was just like, I came to a different, like, I made an agreement with myself about like lyrics, because I would stress out about them so much. And I was just like, it doesn't have to mean anything to anybody else except for me. And if it doesn't start there, it won't mean anything to anyone else anyway. So, like, yeah, I don't know. That's just like, I mean, people who write lyrics differently than that, like people who know what the hell they're doing, like great, but I'm just not that person. But I one thing that I was gonna say though, when you were talking about like the really high, like the bird shriek kind of thing, um, I do that in one project, and I couldn't do it for the longest time, and I found. I don't know if this is anything anybody else has noticed or tried, or if you're trying to do it, this might help you. I don't know. So we're just throwing this out there. Um, I go out of the side of my mouth, like,
Whoa.
and that does it. Like I can't just do it. I gotta go like out the side, like I'm ventriloquizing or something. Like I gotta go out the side, and I can do it, and I can't explain it, but
I believe it.
yeah, it's just a weird thing. It might just be a me thing, but if you're trying to do that, and if you're, give it a shot, see if it helps you. I don't know, but
I will certainly try it. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, it's so Catherine, like I'm taking it that that the way the band sounds, like that's kind of where you were coming from in the first place. So like musically, that's where you were at. You were like, in this sort of like I don't know. In the 90s, we just called it pop punk because it didn't have
Pop
like a,
punk non-derogatory.
yeah, it didn't have, like, that's what I was going to say. It didn't have like a connotation to it. You know what I mean? Like, and now I've heard it called like orgcore or, like different things. So is that what you were, that's what you were influenced by? And you're like bringing the songs, and that's pretty much what we hear?
Kinda. So like most of the stuff that's on that EP we've already put out, if you love your friends, tell them. Those were pretty much all the songs I came with and was like, hey, here's like let's start working on songs together, right? They're not 100% my writing or something, but it's like the core of them was, and it was just songs and structures and hooks and leads and parts like that. I didn't write any lyrics, I didn't write any vocals. But yeah, I kind of came from that stuff. I played in a band like a couple years ago called Hard Sulks that was like that kind of stuff, who toured and did stuff. And I wanted to do more of that kind of music. And I was in a band a few years ago that was kind of doing that kind of music too. But I didn't have people who wanted to play like quite as heavy as I wanted to, because I also come from like a world of like screamo and post-hardcore stuff. Played in like a screamo band a decade ago. Uh, and I kind of just wanted to do all of it. It's like the funniest way to put it is I was like, all these things that sound cool to do, I just want to do all of it actually. Like, how do we make that work?
Yeah.
So when me and Chris got connected, it was kind of a good excuse to, in a best way. And one of our other guitarists, Felipe, came from my last band, and they were on that same page. Like, yeah, let's do something that's a little bit more aggressive, because we had other people who wanted to make it more sing-along-y, more fun. And I was like, I was the lead songwriter of that previous band. I was like, I just don't really want to do that. Like, I, that's a little, I don't know, that's a little too fun. That's a little too palatable for me.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah,
so
you
I
kind of
guess,
look
yeah,
around right now and you're like, does this seem fun? Like,
yeah,
like, are we trying to do fun? Like,
yeah.
yeah,
It's very submersive. It's fun music, but it's supposed to be, it's supposed to be different. It's
yeah,
supposed to be strange and weird and alien and we just play with a bunch of screamo bands too. It's
hmm
like, we talk about it all the time that we like think of like, you know, Drought. They're
Yeah,
not a
yeah,
heavy
for
band,
sure.
but they exclusively play with all the other screamo bands, and we go, oh, we're kind of doing that too, actually. Like, it's
Yeah.
the same idea.
Yeah. Well, like, I've said this a bunch on here, but like, when screamo started, it wasn't like we were like my bands were exclusively playing with bands like y'all and bands like Drought, like
Sure.
we were playing with like, for just the. I mean, I don't know what people would call Drought now. We would have called them when we played with them back in 1999. We would have called them an emo band, just straight up, just that's it, an emo band. And we would have called y'all a pop punk band, just that. And it wouldn't. Neither one of those things had any weight to them, or like, oh, I'm mad because you call. I mean, some people did not like the term emo, but whatever.
Yeah, yeah. I
But
don't like
like,
being called a pop punk band. When it feels like somebody does, when there's the separation, somebody knows. I go, okay, we're cool.
yeah,
But
yeah,
someone
yeah.
calls us a pop punk band and doesn't, and it's like
In a
oh,
new,
I get it. It's like Alkaline Trio.
yeah,
Not
in a
really.
newfound glory shirt, and and they call you a pop punk band. Then you're like, oh, wait, hold on. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Exactly.
There is a distinction for sure. Yeah, it's just like, back then we didn't. It wasn't like that. Those were the shows, so it wasn't like now it might seem weird to some people, but like, what is this band doing on this show or this band? And like, yes, we only play with these bands. And it's like, but back then it was like, we only play with these bands because this is the only bands. Like, it just wasn't like there was one place in town where you could book your shows, and like there was two bands in that town, and one of them like sounded like the face to face, and one of them sounded like mineral. So that was the show. And you're like,
Mhm.
and people are like, what do you what's your band like? And there wasn't even a term screamo for a few years, so you're just like, we're hardcore. And so like nobody had any idea, like, were you gonna sound like Earth Crisis, or were you gonna sound like, Reversal of Man, or has anyone even heard either of those bands in this town? But
I feel like at a point we had to stop because I feel like it was easy. It is easiest to go, oh, what do you do? We're like a fun hardcore band. But that means so much to so many people that it's like, oh, it's actually the wrong direction. Like, I don't know, we're some kind of screamo adjacent fun pop punk band. But if I say pop punk, you get the wrong idea. If I say screamo, you get the wrong idea. If I say
Yeah.
hardcore, you get the wrong idea. So
Yeah.
it's like, I don't know, man.
yeah,
We're
like,
there are accurate words that still mean nothing. Like I guess we're a post-hardcore band is the best one, but like, what is that any better, right?
yeah.
Like,
And like I get these things, like somebody would say orgcore or whatever. Like, I get how people want to make these distinctions, and then at the same time, like, the one that bothers me is emo violence. And like, my band is like often called an emo violence band, and if we are doing like what makes a band emo violence versus what makes a band not, then it surely applies to aspects of our music. But some of these just sound like such a pissing contest, like, and it's just like, come on, so punk, it's a punk band, like, we're a punk band.
yep.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Catherine, I'm really curious, do you have my guitar needs to come out of this speaker? Do you have that with y'all's stuff?
My guitar needs to come out of this speaker, like a specific sound or like a
No, no, no,
specific.
like a left or right. Are you?
No.
No. Do you
Well, so
need?
we're
Do
a
you
three
know?
guitar band.
Well, you are
I
now,
know.
but on
I
the
know where I
EP.
am. I know where I am. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So on the EP,
so
where were you? Right or left?
on the EP. Oh, do I remember on the EP?
Okay.
I know the one we just did. That's so
Okay.
because we just did new music, and I go, oh, that's fresh on my mind. I go, oh, which side am I? I'm the more lead guitar player, if it means
Okay.
anything.
Well,
Uh,
the thing is, like, and I was gonna sort of get to this earlier or later rather, is the thing is, like, one of my questions was, and you're playing keyboards as well, so I assume that's part of it. But like, one of my thoughts was, when I'm listening to the EP, and of course I listened to the EP which isn't out that you sent me, which like I also enjoyed a lot. But like I'm like a part of me, I'm listening to it on headphones, so I'm really getting like the stereo effect, and I'm trying to be like, so if she's the more lead player, then she's in this speaker. And then as soon as I start thinking I've got it figured out, then the other speaker goes off. And I'm like, did this band get a third guitar player because they were like, someone needs to hold things down while we're dual noodling? Like, what is there? Was
Yeah.
that an aspect of it? Like, look, I want to noodle more, and I know you want to noodle more, but somebody has to bring this down the center, like with the bass. So we need another guitar player. But yeah, I was really trying to figure that out, like which one, and especially like in songs like I can't remember the other word, but synaptic. In songs like that, I'm like, geesh, like it's noodles everywhere, which is beautiful, but like, yeah, it must be a lot of fun to just sit down and just with the guitars and just write that stuff for sure.
Mhm.
But how much of that was like, was there any of that where it's like, look, we need some kind of rhythm going down the middle here sometimes when we're both just going off?
Absolutely, constantly. That's pretty
Yeah.
much exactly how it happened. So we did the first EP. We were a 5 piece, no keyboards yet. We were like, we were starting to write using it like right at the end of it, like before it came out, but none of it made it to that.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was doing more of that, it was coming up to where it's like, oh, I can't really do a rhythm. Like we have a cool lead, right? But it really does need another guitar behind it, and I can't really do that if I'm doing this keyboard part. Softer Synaptic is like exactly the example because even before the huge like tremolo picking like maximalist part in the second half of the song, like in the verses, I don't play any guitar. I just dip out, even though I do the rhythm guitar part like in the beginning of the song, and then I swap. So it's like I'm kind of jumping back and forth all the time. And when we were writing for that EP, like the first couple of songs were done for it, and we had our bass player changed basically. Our old bass player Jacob, we moved on with. We had personal reasons and stuff, and then
Sure.
Dylan joined. But when we did that, we were in talks with Carmen, who introduced me and Chris, and has played in this old band called Summer Houses. That's absolutely fantastic, and she was also like, all right, I'm out of all of my bands. And I had asked her about, hey, would you be interested in playing bass? She played guitar in her previous band. And when it came up and she was interested, and then Dylan was interested, we had like this conversation where we go, we actually want both these musicians in the band. So it was like, all right, well, Dylan is only a bass player. Carmen has been a guitar player, but has kind of been playing bass. And we're like, would you play guitar for one more band, like one more time? Like, and join us and do it. And I wouldn't say that Carmen doesn't also do the noodly stuff. Um, but Carmen is probably the person who kind of came in and went, oh, I'll fill in these parts when there's all these other leads and things. Like when there's a keyboard part I have that's a lead, Carmen's usually filling in those rhythm sections and stuff. Carmen is also just a great like creative mind and like sonic frequency understander, which really helps for writing three guitar parts where they have to not sound like a total mess. And she has a really keen eye for like detecting that and recognizing it and be like, oh, we're really fighting for the same space here. Like we should probably, move another octave or change this or so she's kind of the person who made that come together because yeah, in those older songs, sometimes me and Felipe, who has been the second guitarist, I guess, who's been around the whole time, we both I might say I do a little bit more lead guitar stuff, but not by much.
Right.
On the new music, I'm the guitar that's like in the center most of the time,
Okay.
while Felipe and Carmen are on the left and right because my guitar kind of comes in and out. It's like either the big leads or big rhythms usually.
Sure. That makes a lot of sense too. Like, because that's how you'd position a lot of, like just patches, tracks that were patched in and patched out, like, you know, um, traditional leads and stuff like that. I used to be I used to be really like against that. If I had like a lead part in any part of the song, I would play the entire song anyway. and record it all because it bothered me so much. But then I just got like better at mixing, you know. So like, I'm just like, oh, if you just like don't, yeah, if you're just good at mixing just a little bit, then it doesn't sound weird when you just put the guitar there out of nowhere, you know. Like, it doesn't like come in like you know like um smacking everyone in the face like I wasn't here a minute ago, you know. Um, but yeah, um, it's 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 a lot of fun like trying to like listen to a band that has this much going on like and figuring out like trying to figure out like where things are and things like that. And then like there's the other thing where it's just like I the first time I was listening, I wasn't doing that like at all, and I'm just like, this is great. Like, there's a lot of energy there, and that's like, you know, it's what I'm trying to say. It's like a movie where you get a little more every time you listen. I mean, it's really enjoyable that way. Um, yeah. So so Catherine, you bring these songs, and then Chris, you hear them, and then like you start sort of like trying to wrap your mind about like how you're going to approach this stuff. But immediately when you heard it, were you like, yeah, okay, this is going to work out?
In terms of like putting vocals and lyrics, yeah, I think that like I've always done the way that I've usually done lyrics is I'll kind of write these I'll kind of write poems separately that are like I'll keep in mind in terms of the structure that they will eventually be songs. Um, and so it's almost entirely separate for me. Like I go through like a pretty thorough like editing process. Like I'll write poems, sometimes like in response to like hearing the like bones of a song. Sometimes I'll just write them like completely separately. I'll have an idea, and then I'll kind of like hold on to them and wait for a song that's like, oh wait, I think that that will plug into that correctly. And then I just do a lot of like really like vicious editing. Sometimes I'll write like way too many words. Sometimes I'll write not enough. And then as I listen to the song a few times, it'll all just start to kind of like click into place with different parts and different pieces. And yeah, I feel like the way that I write lyrics, um, I can kind of it doesn't matter if the song is like long or short or fast or slow. It's just sort of like waiting for it to kind of like all the corners to kind of line up so that it fits over it.
Mm. I I've tried that so many times, and I really can only think of a handful of times when it's succeeded for me. Like a lot of times, I'm just like, no, I gotta start over. Like I don't know if it's that I don't feel like it's that I'm bad at editing because like that's my like I I do a lot of editing like in not lyric writing like, but I do a lot of editing. Like I also write poetry and I also like write stories and stuff, and I do a lot of
Mhm.
editing um in that like the first thing is just me getting out all of the ideas and all of the words, and then the next time is me being like, okay, all of this sucks, how do I make it good? And maybe I make it good, maybe I don't, you know. I mean, we've all been there, right? But like
Yeah.
um as far as like once I've gotten to that point where I'm pretty happy with the way something works for me, like I have tried to go back and be like, I really like this. It works. Like this is what I want this song to be about, right? This stuff
Mhm.
that I've got here. So how do I make this into that? How do I make like and I don't know if it's just like I feel like I'm not that precious with anything, really. Like I'm not that precious with like a riff. Like if it just doesn't work, then I will change it. If the drum beat just doesn't work, I will change it. Like, but something just happens where I'm just like it just doesn't compute, and I'm like, okay, the song's still going to be about the same exact thing, but I got to start from scratch. And it's so, I don't know. I'm like always like, I bet I could save so much time and energy if I just could crack this version of editing. Like I don't know. So I'm always really jealous when I hear people say that this is something that they do. You know, not necessarily like to me specifically, although I would like to hear, you know, your thoughts, but is there just like some kind of advice or some kind of like sort of like pointers that you can you know that you've learned that make this process like more smooth for you or like easier for you?
I think I think something that really like helped me understand like what I wanted to do with lyrics and like writing lyrics was I had a couple of bands that like were only around for like 6 or 7 months, and then they would fizzle out and I would start a new band. And that happened to me. I had like a 5 year stretch where that was like my experience with music, where I would just be in these bands for 7 or 8 months and then something would happen, they would break up, I'd start a new one. And I was writing like a lot of songs. I was writing a lot of lyrics and I was writing a lot of like new things with new people. And I had I thought it was like kind of controversial at the time. Like I've softened my views on it. I don't really care, but like I've kind of reused songs or like pieces of songs. I'd have like a song that I felt like I would really like, man, I really kind of like knocked it out of the park on that one. Like I really love this idea. And so I would take it from one 40-second white belt song to a different 40-second white belt song, and like kind of playing with that like malleability of lyrics. And I think it's also just like the way that I write lyrics that like definitely from like a hardcore kind of ethos of just like I'm kind of just saying what's on my mind. Like I use the word like precious a couple times of like I don't think my lyrics are that precious to me. They're like very matter of fact. They're just sort of like, hey, on the spot, what do you think about this subject right now? And I'll just kind of spit it out and then edit it. And like I think of it like it's like jello. The lyrics are kind of like jello. And like they have to cool to a certain extent and get to a point where it'll kind of stay in form. But you could also like pick it up out of one vessel and put it into another, and it's still jello.
Yeah, yeah. You could get a cookie
And I,
cutter and stomp it in the mold,
yeah,
and
yeah,
now you got bat
and just
shaped Jello. Yeah.
and you'd kind of trim off like a whole bunch of it, and like maybe you actually cut away like a key part, but just like really allowing myself to let my songs have a sense of like impermanence of just sort of like I'm gonna write a lot of songs and like they're all just about like how I love my friends or how I'm upset about something or I'm angry. Like I don't think that I'm like a terrible like writer or terrible lyricist. I just think that it's like a conversation. Like I don't worry about the conversations that I'm having. I just let them happen, and sometimes they're good, sometimes they're bad. And like with lyrics, it's the same way. And so kind of picking them up and moving them around and cutting them and like setting them aside and using them later, like they're kind of like a commodity for me, or like a well to draw from. A lot of
Sure.
metaphors there, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's. I totally understand what where you're coming from, and I think part of that is like relevant to I used to have a real hang up about not necessarily the lyrics part, but just like the actual song part. And I just came to a conclusion, that like, this isn't going to be the last song that I ever write. Like one day, like
Hmm.
it will be, but I'm not even going to know it then. Right. So like, what's the difference,
Hmm.
And it's just like, yeah, that this isn't going to be the last song I ever write, but like, if I don't fucking get over some of this shit, it could be, cause I'll get so far in my head, I never finish anything. Like, what good is that doing me? And, like, yeah, I don't know. Like, it's, to me it's really like the big thing is like you like you you're always like hear all this romantic talk about like people and their inspirations and stuff, and like nothing is more inspiring than like actually just getting into the nitty gritty of it, and like grabbing your guitar. Nothing is more inspiring than actually strumming your guitar and like doing these things where you're actually putting yourself in the the to use a dirty word, the work of it.
Hmm.
And I don't know, as far as like reusing songs, it's really funny because like I've been in bands where like I was in this band and we played for a couple years, and then I was writing like the next album, and the bass player was like, this shit sucks, like more or less, and was like, this is like way too wimpy. It's like not as heavy as our other stuff. And like the band was on its way out anyway, and I was just like, yeah, okay, so the vocalist was gonna move, and like it was just like, okay, fine, like this isn't your thing. You can like we'll get someone else, and we have like 3 shows left. Anyway, then I start this other band later, and this same person hears about it and is like, we had a different bass player, and he's like, y'all are pretty good. And I was like, that's those same fucking songs that you said sucked. And I was like, that's the same ones. And he's like, oh well, so like, yeah, I've definitely been on the like, it's always like, you know the band's on its way out, and I already got like 5 more songs. I never stopped writing songs, so like I'm not just gonna be like, I mean, it's different if like other people like, and we knew these songs and everybody had, but it was just like, hey,
Yeah.
I'm throwing these songs out there, and this person's like, they suck, and I don't know, but good times. But yeah, it's I don't know, every aspect of like how people get to where they need to be to making music is like, as much as I just was like saying that like the inspiration part is like, you know uh, uh, uh not that important. Like I am still like very mystified about making music, just in general, and so like I'm always like, oh, that's like a really cool way to think about that, and that's I don't know. um Plus, like when you make a lot of records, sometimes you're just like, I'm gonna try something different. I like, maybe if I try writing lyrics in this other way that I heard of that I never thought of, then I maybe it makes some part of my brain happen, or something. I don't know. Um, but yeah. So you two, like, you sort of hit it off. You start, getting the songs together, and like, how long was it before y'all were like, okay, like let's record these songs? And that's like the initial 5 songs which came out on the EP.
Pretty early. I feel like we did our first show September 2023, and we recorded in January, just shortly after that.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
so I mean, for those first few months, we literally just go and we played that EP, the 5 songs front to back, and play like an 8-minute set because that's how long it is. Uh, and then we would just do that, and we're like, "Art, we're done, we're out," and that's like how it was. And then we go to record, and we did that, and we had one more song that we recorded at the same time, kind of on accident. We recorded this song "Have a Pop Over Froggy,"
Right.
which we put out separately, but we didn't really know we recorded it when we did it. It was like our producer at the time, Joe, was like, "Oh, just whatever, just play something. Let me test all the levels." So we played that song because it was like it's ready, but we didn't know that it was all recorded. And then when we finished the whole thing, we came back and we're like, "What's this untitled sixth song we have in the list of files you sent us?" And we're like, we didn't. We all asked ourselves for messaging, going, "Does anyone ever remember tracking any of this?" And we're like, "No, no." And we're like, "I guess we have another song we'll put out a little bit later. That's cool."
So you all
So it
knew
was
the
kind of all at the
song,
same
like you've
time.
been practicing it, and then it
Uh
was
huh.
just like, I need to get my levels, so run through something a couple times, and then y'all
Yes.
listen back, and it was like, hey, how did we fucking absolutely nail this one? Like what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'll say the one thing that will forever dig into my skin is that I only play keyboard in that song now, and it's only guitars. So
Oh,
it's kind of funny. It's like normally I set a guitar down for that song and play keyboards, but when we did it, we weren't tracking any keyboards or anything. So I played guitar. I could play the whole part on guitar as well. A lot of it's very like transposable.
uh,
But that was funny. But yeah, we did that. We recorded it in January and then put it out. I mean, as fast as we could is the truth. We're like, we want to do stuff. We want to. It's hard to go play other cities and go places without music out. Like we just wanted to do it.
yeah, because I was gonna ask because like the EP and that were I mean they were dated just like the same month, right? Or like let's say I wrote it down. I was like they came out. Oh, okay. It was not the same month, but it was like 2 months apart.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we put the other song out pretty shortly
a
after.
month and a
Because
half. Yeah,
yeah, we mulled over putting it out like with the EP, but it didn't belong with those songs, so we felt
okay,
kind of funny about it. Um, so we just ultimately said we'll just put it out as another song while we're doing other stuff.
sure.
So it kind of worked out.
What do you mean by belong with them? Like, is there a theme to the EP that's, I mean, like by the title, you could assume there is a theme, and you could assume what the theme is, but is that why it didn't fit? Like, by your um estimation, or not estimation, but I don't know what else to say there. Is that why it didn't fit? It just didn't fit with the lyrical theme, or
Kind of. It wasn't so much that it was like a lyrical theme issue. Especially me, but like I try to bring everybody to this page. I'm just like super, super considerate to like um what the full listen to an album is. Like there's a lot of
okay.
motifs, there's a lot of stuff, and that song wasn't like it wasn't really prepared with any of them. It wasn't made with them any in mind. It would have really felt like a bonus track to me, or just like
Okay.
another song in this same group. While
Yeah.
every one of those other songs was really like um those first five songs were other than the middle song on it were all things I came with and was like, hey, here's the first few songs. They all have these little connecting parts. They all have these little references to each other. Lyrically, they have little connections and ideas that are the same. And Have a Pop Over Froggy just like wasn't in that group, so it felt funny to include it.
Yeah.
Um, Even though we didn't have a plan, it was like, oh, that's kind of always been a song that's sat on its own. So we didn't know what to do with it anyway. We have all sorts of songs like that now, where we have like one or two songs that'll be like, oh, these are great songs. We might play them at shows or something, and they're like paired together. Maybe even a third song gets in there, and you go, wait, is this three songs the new like? Is this the main body of a new thing we want to work on, or what? Right? Like
Yeah.
um, the new stuff on Tell Me All About It. The first I guess the second and third track we've been playing, since 2024, like the beginning of it. Uh, but the first song is just a extended riff on the second track, so they're very connected. Those three songs kind of like they're all written together in the same like month basically. And then the second half of it was all written when we got the new lineup and like really connected the dots, and we're like everything was written in mind, knowing what the closing track was and what the first cut. It was like Act 1 and Act 3 were all we
Okay.
knew where we were going and we're going to put it all together knowing that.
Yeah. So it's
Um
not that you're writing them linearly necessary, but you
mhm.
you have a like you have a roadmap of like this is the ebbs and the flows of the
Mhm.
album or piece like
If
as
I
a whole.
yeah, if I wanted to put it out, it would look like a big conspiracy board, like bulletin board, where it's
Sure.
a bunch of strings that connect. Where it's like, oh, this line, the one of the last lines in the first song is re-referenced right before the conclusion of the album, or you know what I mean? Like it's like that kind of stuff where it's constant little, oh, we want to connect this dot to this dot because they are talking about the same thing. Or if they're talking about the same thing, there might be a musical motif or a kind of hook or something, or even as detailed as like thinking, oh, I just want to use like um, the same chord shape, but I'll put it up a step each time it reappears on the record, as if it's just like getting higher or more intense, as like a very, very subtle connecting thread between these parts that are all like connected or about the same thing. Or
Yeah. I have a lot of I do write like if you if you listen to an a full album of like my main project, like chances are that I wrote that like start to finish like in basically one go. But like um but the other pieces of work like there's for sure like there can be points where I'm like no, like something is missing in the middle, and like it doesn't make sense to other people, but luckily like I've worked with people for long enough that like are like this is going to be cool like no matter what happens. And so like I've definitely been like all the drums are recorded for this stuff, and I'm like yeah, there's just something needs to happen at the beginning of this and something needs to happen at the end of this, and I'll just I'll just be like, okay, like, I'm gonna do a whole other song here that like I record all of the stuff to, but like it's gonna make sense because it's supposed to sound like it's yeah, I don't know. I'm I'm getting like way ahead, but like yeah,
no, I follow, I follow.
I understand like the not using this in like a negative connotation, but I understand the sort of like neurotic like no, like I already see how this needs to be, and so we can't just throw that song on there. Yeah, but I was curious, like because you would assume they're from the same session just listening to them, but that could always just be that you know you went back to the same person, and it's just their output is consistent, so it's just like you can have that, but like yeah, that's a great story, it's really like I don't know, it really like must be a testament to how like hard y'all work to get these songs like tight to like play them and stuff, to where you just go in and it's just like yeah, just mess around and you have a release worthy track. It's awesome. But yeah, so you have the EP out, and then like you said, some new folks come into the band, and there's a little shifting of the deck chairs, or however you want to put it. How much of the new EP that's not out yet, how much of that was written before that, or like you know what all like how did y'all all get on the same page as far as like okay, now that we know what everybody's going to do in the band now, like here's how we're going to take it to like the next level, or like just how we're going to move forward with the project.
Yeah. I think the big thing about how that like shift worked was that I kind of mentioned that for the Tell Me All About It songs, there's I mean it's 8 tracks, but there's 9 songs because one's like a two-parter thing, right? And we had written the first 3 songs and then the last song. Those were written before the lineup change, and a bunch of the stuff in the middle was like, oh, they're kind of half written, but we weren't playing them at shows. They weren't done. They were, like all of the songs in this new one were like the I guess lead songwriter was me on all of these ones, and that was partially because we had all this like movement that was happening. It made it kind of tricky. Um, But like songs like Softer Synaptic or Ruminate Ward, these were around, but there weren't like, hey, when you join, we don't have some specific third guitar part written for our new third guitarist. We don't have some specific bass line. Our previous bassist, there weren't like finalized parts to like share and go, oh, this is what it is, you know?
Yeah.
So there was like that collaborative process still happened. And then the big one that feels, at least to me, like emblematic of like, it's the first song we really did all together was Great Collision States, which is the second to last track, which was we hadn't. I think the song might have been written, but while before the lineup change, like I had the bones of the song, like the one guitar part, and the structure and stuff, and then we never got that song to play with our old bassist. So when we changed lineups, it was like, hey, this is the first time we're ever really touching it with everybody. So it was totally fresh eyes, totally fresh everything on it, which is kind of fun, especially considering like what that song is and what that song is about. It's kind of funny that it is that. Uh, it's cool that way, I think. But it was pretty easy, I think, is that like Dylan had already been like a close friend of the band, and then Carmen, I mean, I would say the same. Is like we played our first show with Carmen's old band. Carmen connected me and Chris. We both knew Carmen through stuff, so getting her in, it was like, oh, we have somebody who we already kind of know her taste and think she'll do a good job and write cool parts and add to this in a way that like she understands, especially when it came to any of the songs that have keyboard. Basically, I put a lot of the weight like actually on Carmen being like, oh, thank you. I didn't have like, I'm writing keyboard, which is relatively new for me compared to guitar. I only started learning like for this band, while guitar I've been playing, so her coming in and writing parts that were like, oh, these aren't like, they're not just rhythm. Sometimes they are, but like, oh, you're adding stuff to this that I never planned out, or like Felipe never planned out, or stuff like that, which really transformed them. I think of like Ruminate and Ruminate Ward really specifically, that Carmen like really, really changed those songs, or her guitar parts just added stuff that like, quite truthfully, without her, we wouldn't have come up with.
What was your main thing with like, yeah, like I want to do keyboards now. Like, you're playing the other songs and you're constantly sort of hearing this in your head, like what was going on, and you wanted to do that moving forward, or like you just had ideas that stemmed from keyboards specifically that you're like, I don't know if these newer songs work without it.
Sure. It was in the early phases of us doing stuff. I frequently cite and mention that the last track on the EP, this is not it's long, the Lost song, the one with the really long title at the end. This is not a song about the hit television series Lost.
Yeah, there it is.
That whole song was written on a piano by me, which was like, oh, just transposed. We didn't plan on having it be keyboard or something, right? But it was written that way, and I always kind of thought, and especially as we kind of talked about influences and different things we can do, that we don't really just want to be, guitar, drum, bass, rock band all the time. Like we're happy to add other things. That it was pretty early on that I was like, hey, it'd be fun to use some keyboard for like an intro of this. Or pretty early on, I started playing Froggy, and then one of the songs in the EP, Kennel Cough, or Pink Hair. Now I play only keyboard in.
Okay.
I play like only keyboard on like half the songs now, including old songs, but they would kind of get turned into that and go, oh, this is pretty cool. Like if we recorded them now, I would probably play keyboard on them. But it was just kind of a conversation we had really early that I was like, oh, I think it would be cool to add this. And I didn't even plan that it was going to be me playing keyboard, right? Truthfully, our old bassist Jacob had gotten like a little Yamaha like electric organ, And I was like, oh, I'd love to start learning, right? So I
Mm-hmm.
borrowed it, and then eventually was like, oh, I wrote a song and I have a keyboard part at the beginning of this song, and I guess I'll do it that way. And we tried that one song out for some shows, and we're like, oh, this is fun and cool. Let's do more of that.
Yeah. Um, yeah, it's I don't I am I am not good at keyboard, but I have a project where I write a lot of the songs based on like I'll start with the keyboard because
Sure.
it's an organ sound and it's just real fun to go meep, 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 you know,
Hmm.
and
I'm
you
not good
know
at organ. I'm not good at keyboard either.
yeah
I'm figuring it out as I go.
yeah it's just I don't know, it's like it's fun. But yeah, when you're going back to the older songs and you're like, yeah, you know, I'm gonna do this, like I'm gonna do this one on keyboard instead. Where are you like? Are you are you are you coming from like a totally new place with this, or are you like sort of finding the root of the song, or are you like you're mimicking some of your lead stuff? Like where do you land on that? Like as far as like, you know, we're making this a whole new song, or like or 50-50.
It's pretty all over the place. So like Pink Hair, I think of as the first old song that I started playing with keyboard. I don't do any guitar in it typically anymore. I mean, I go back and forth. I can basically play any of them, guitar or keyboard, if I wanted to.
Sure.
Um, but I feel like shows and stuff, Pink Hair, I play pretty much the same part, but instead of doing like some big like like eighth note strums on a big chord or something, because I do more the rhythm in that song, I just do like a big held out keyboard note for them, which I kind of like the root or something.
Mm-hmm.
But then most of the time, like Froggy, it's there's a couple of spots earlier in the song where I do a lot of the rhythm, but the whole end of the song I'm doing like a big lead, basically the whole way through, which just sounds awesome on keyboard. So I really like doing it. And
Mm-hmm.
then the beginning, I kind of do the same, where if I don't have some big lead or something, I tend to do one big held out like note on keyboard. I might add a little flair to it, which I think adds some like personality for have a pop over Froggy and like the big downbeat chuggy part or whatever at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I just hold out big long notes, but in the second part where it like changes and gets a little bigger, while in the original song, it's really just that the dynamic is a little bit bigger. When we play it now as a band and the keyboard is there, it has like a whole new like hook underneath it, which is different for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But it sounds pretty fun and it's identifiable as the same song. And I think I've always had a kind of like uh, I don't know, a very modal idea of thinking like I don't really care if these songs are exactly the same as we do them on the record, or
Yeah.
if I could just play. I don't really care. Like Kennel Cough is a mixture of both. I do just like big guitar chords in the chorus or whatever still, and then in the verses I'm actually doing my like big chords and playing the keyboard lead at the same time. Uh, while like Felipe, who it was only written as a two guitar song, we don't really do it anymore. It's kind of one of the ones that's got lost in translation with lineup changes, and we don't play that song a lot anymore.
Sure.
But it was like, oh, we just have a totally different way we do it, where now it's less guitars, and now this big lead that's normally just like a twangly little guitar is now like a big, fun synthesizer sound,
Mm-hmm.
which just adds some life to it and some breath and difference in what we sound like.
So you said you're not like very good at keyboard, and like I'm glad that doesn't stop you from playing because it's like it's so fun. But did you put like little like fret markers on your keys when you were starting?
Yes, I did.
Yeah. Are they still
On
there?
the Yamaha, no,
No?
I have a newer
Okay.
keyboard since, but
Okay.
I
You
did that
graduated.
absolutely when I started.
Yeah. I every time I'm recording because I don't play like at all. Like I just um I'll be like this album is going to have keyboards, right? So I'll write the part. And every time I'm like I got to put a piece of tape on the first key that I'm going to hit. And then from there
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty good. I'm like, okay. I'm okay. So I'm okay skipping around like up or down, but the first one like I'm just absolutely like sight blind to where it is on the keyboard. Like no
Yeah.
matter how many times I look at it, I'm like, no, I just got to put a piece of blue tape on there just so I know where the first finger is going to go, and then I'll be okay. But
My my technique was always that it wasn't like so much the starting point. It would be like, okay, once I realize like what key I'm in, like which keys on the piano are legal, like which ones
oh,
sound
which
good
one's
in this
illegal?
song. Once I think about that, I go, which ones work? Okay, if I
Yeah,
can remember the shape of this song, I'll remember how to play it because like the intervals will all make sense. It's just if I forget like, oh, I don't think about key as accurately as I do on guitar because I just think about the shapes of it and like the positions. And on keyboard, I'm like, ooh, that might not always work. So like sometimes when I'll refresh myself and go, all right, what's the one? I'll just play like as if it was a scale, right? I'll just
mm-hmm.
go up and down and go, yep, okay, I got it. I remember how to play this song now.
Yeah,
As long as I have that,
yeah.
then I tend to be okay.
My youngest, they recently like wanted to start like just kind of out of nowhere, because they started band in school this year. So just kind of out of nowhere, they started wanting to jam on like all of our stuff, and so they had my wife put like all of the notes in, like writing the notes on this on the green painter tape and put it on the keyboard. And so they were asking me, they were like, what are some chords? And my wife is much better at keyboard than me, but she was like, oh, I don't remember all of them. And I was like, yeah, see, the thing is, like, I've tried to do this before where I'm like, okay, this is the same note as this on guitar. This is the same note as this on guitar. And this is the same note as this on guitar. So theoretically, these three should be a chord. And I press them down and I'm like, dog shit, that sounds terrible. Like, what is the difference? But yeah, it's totally true what you're saying. Like sometimes you're just like, this should work, but it's not. But this does work, and I don't need to make sense of it. I just need to know what's working and what doesn't. But I don't know. It is a lot of fun. Do you feel like do you feel like you're in a different headspace, like when you're like working on writing on one instrument versus the other? Are you coming at them from a different, like almost part of your personality, or?
Yeah, I think I do. I think writing from keyboard is still really hard for me generally.
Mm-hmm.
It's easy to like come up with a part, but it's hard to like structure whole things out. And that's a product of the inexperience of it. I've been playing guitar a whole bunch. Like pretty much at the start of this band or like the beginning of it, I was like I'd kind of plateaued as a guitarist for a while, like doing the same stuff and like kind of getting into a comfortable, well, I can play everything I'm trying to play, so like what am I worried about, right?
Yeah.
And then almost right out of the gate with this band, I was like, I don't want to do that. I want to play things that are harder for me. I want to play things that are different for me. I want to, do more things. And just like started getting a lot better at guitar, like at least to me, what felt like pretty quickly. And now I'm like, I seriously consider myself like kind of an addict. I'll just sit and play guitar for hours and just like get distracted and lost. I had this thing, the whole band gets together on most Monday nights and we watch WWE together. And a week or two ago, I remember I just started using Tuck's guitar to like tab out music so we could share things, between some of the guitars because we're working on new stuff already. And I remember looking up at the time. I go, cool. All right. I think I just figured out this new tool I'm swapping to. I think I just tabbed out this new song, and I go, oh God, I was supposed to leave like 30 minutes ago. I just was sucked in. I was like, let me just learn this tool real quick, and then I was like gone for like 2 hours in my brain. You could have told me I was only doing it for 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Um, that's like playing guitar and me for a nutshell. Keyboard is just not really like that, where I don't have the familiarity to like endlessly get lost in like um,
Yeah, you can't just like
writing.
riff. You can't just like, it's not so fluid that you can just
Yeah.
like, yeah. I'm I get the same way with guitar where like even after all these years, like will I will just be in my bedroom and I'll pick up my acoustic and I'll start playing, and I am playing nothing at all. Like I am just going from one idea to the next, no segues. It's probably absolutely terrible. I'm having the time of my life, and it'll
Hmm.
be like 40 minutes, and I'm like, oh, and I'm like, yeah, I need to take a shower and like get ready for bed because I got to get up real early tomorrow.
Uh-huh.
And I don't know. It's wild. Like, but yeah, I don't know. Like it's weird because like I feel like I'm at some point where like I don't play to get better. Like I just play because I enjoy it. And so I feel like yeah, I'm like never gonna get better. And I also kind of don't need to. Like I'm not at a point where I feel like I need to. I'm there's I'm not getting behind, like I'm not picking up the guitar and writing a song and being like, if I only could do this one thing, then this song would be better or something. So it's like, but I don't know. I do like I'm getting way ahead of myself, and but like I do think that not always trying to be better at something is like kind of like you should always want to. So it's not. It is like I'm conflicted in that. Like I'm just like I'm good enough at guitar to do what I want my guitar to do. So like why should I worry about it? But at the same time, like I also there's like 70 other things in my life that I'm constantly trying to get better at, and I can't. You have to pick, right? So
Totally.
yeah.
I think
Um,
I'm less active about it than I used to be, but I think you describing that, oh, like if only I could do this, then it would come up. But like, I mean, I was sitting with Chris like 2 nights ago, I think, and I started playing something. I went, oh, what's the chord? Like I hear in my head, oh, it'd be this shape, and I went, oh, that's hard. I was like, I
yeah,
can't just do like I can't quickly swap to that position without like, stretching my hand into some strange, bizarre form. And I was like, whoa, if I was just a little bit better at this stretch or this shape, like quickly, I could be playing this song the way I want to play it. As is my skill right now, I can't. And I was like, oh, that's something to work on.
yeah,
Like it was like it came naturally that I was like, oh, that's what I want to be able to do.
yeah.
Um, it's less now like active. I guess there are things where I go, oh, I would like to learn how to do, I don't know, some little shorter form, like some part of a sweep into something, and then be able to separate from that, like that motion. I get kind
Mm-hmm.
of locked into it. But I'm like, oh, it's fun to start it and then try to jump out of it. And like, that's a skill too, where I don't find myself needing it a lot. But I go, oh, if I did want to do that, I can't really do that. So it's something I can practice.
Yeah. I just sort of possibly related to that as well is that I always find that the less that I am actively trying to improve at something, the faster I improve at it. Like, and that just might be a me thing, but like if I just keep doing it and I sort of allow myself to just like zone and just like I keep doing it, but I don't pressure myself. I try to make myself as like unaware as possible that I'm doing this same thing a million times in a row. Like then I like if I'm trying to record something and because when I'm recording, I'm doing a lot of it by myself. So I leave a lot of room for improvisation. So, like, when I'm recording something and an idea comes to me and I've never played it, it might be difficult for me at first, no matter like how much I'm used to doing something similar. It's just a new thing to memorize and learn. And that's my thing is I have to just like keep doing it. I can't think to myself, first finger 3, second finger 5, this, I can't get that. I just have to keep doing it and almost
Mhm.
just like block out the numbers and the forms that my hand needs to make and just like mentally let those patches like make themselves. I don't know if that is the case with other people, but it's like I almost have to just be like, don't worry about getting better at this. Like you just will, and I just will. I don't know.
Yeah, it's kind of an angle to like naturalize it. Is like it's not exactly the same approach I think of, but I just think of it like a language. And as you get more comfortable with the language, you don't even think about the words. You just
Hmm.
you're so quick to them. And I guess I just think about when something is hard for me, it makes me go, "Oh, I understand the words I'm looking at on paper, but I cannot quickly and almost like improvisationally use them." Right? It like might go, "Oh, if I wanted to start shifting this up, it would totally mess with me because it's unfamiliar territory." But when you feel like you're really comfortable, I mean, like even with this band too, I wasn't like a big like tapping guitarist in the past. I guess I don't do a ton of it, but I like wanted to learn. That was like one of those things I was like, I wasn't super good at. Let me learn it. And now I'm just like, oh, I can kind of jump around wherever I want on the neck because I understand the relationship with all the things now, right? Where I'm like, oh, I don't really have to think about it.
Yeah.
It's same as keyboard. Sometimes like that song "Lost" has like a big like tap. It's pretty much all tapping like the second half of the song. And I remember I was like, oh, let me see if I can learn that on keyboard. And it was one of the first times I sat down with it, and I was like, oh, I actually just know. I can interpret and guess where all my notes are because I've become familiar with that language. Like that I can guess guitar parts that I'm doing that are kind of like, at one point were pretty hard for me on keyboard, a language I understand very poorly and just make sense of it.
Yeah, that's awesome. We've been talking about the new EP here and there between like just the broader conversation about like making music, but we haven't talked about like what are the plans for release. I'm not sure like when is this EP supposed to be out? When are people going to be able to hear it?
Yeah, it comes out on Valentine's Day on February
Okay.
14th.
Okay.
Um, we're doing a couple of shows like in the Northwest, right around it. We're playing like Portland the day before. We're in Seattle on the actual release. We're gonna go play Eugene after, and then we're going to California the next month to do some shows that we haven't announced yet. Um, and we're gonna play a bunch of new songs and try to show it to new people or old friends that we made when we went through California last time.
Awesome. It are is there do you have physical releases like lined up with the February release, or is there a different
Yeah,
yeah? Eh,
Yeah, so we first got reached out to by Slowdown, who works out of Norway, works a bunch of bands I like and Letter Bombs and What Goes Up and stuff. And they reached out and were like, I was kind of shocked. I was like, oh, cool. I like got a message on like my personal account that was like, hey, I've seen you talk about your new albums coming out. I would like to put it out. Like I was like, oh, of course, like sure, check it out. Like I'm a fan. Like, and they wanted to work with us, and it was just for tapes. And then I was like, hey, like we want to do more tapes. We want to do CDs. Like, I don't know, we'd do like vinyl if we can do it. And they were like, oh, you should work with our friends in Oliver Glen. And we just kind of reached out. And then also in like such a kind of shock of like positivity was I messaged them, like they followed us and I was like, oh, cool. Well, they must have already seen us at something, but like, we've never talked or don't know anyone there. And
mhm.
when I messaged them, Jacob from there replied and was like, oh, yeah, your band rules. We'll do anything. And I was like, oh, cool. So they're gonna do them. They're gonna do tapes and CDs and stuff for us too. Um, I don't know. We haven't really talked about vinyl. We know it's kind of expensive. We're kind of a relatively new band to go out on a limb for it, but we'd love to.
Yeah, um the biggest hang up for vinyl, although the cost is obviously the biggest, but like is the amount of time it takes,
Mm,
and like understandably somebody is like, "Oh, you want to release this in February, then I can't do vinyl because we
of
need
course.
to have those dates line up a little better."
Mm.
But yeah, I hope that y'all are able to work that out. I mean, sometimes, like uh, something comes out and somebody's just like, "Yeah, you know what? Like screw it. Like we're doing that." And so hopefully that's what happens cuz I don't know, I think that the album is really good, and I think that a lot of people are going to dig it. So you said a couple of shows, just like a couple of shows in Oregon and the show in Seattle for the release, and then like keep your eyes peeled for some California shows a little bit closer to the spring. Um, do you have any shows lined up before? I mean, it's going to be pretty close to the release, like by the time this airs anyway. But do you have any shows between like now and then?
No, the first one will be the 13th, which is it's the Portland show the day before it comes out. We kind of just did a spree of shows. Um, Locally, we played with Frog Bath from California. We played with They Hung Us from Power Lines and Middling from Ohio.
Oh yeah.
And we kind of did a bunch. I mean, like last week, I think we did like 2 shows here. And after that, we're like, let's breathe a little. We want to work on new material. We want to unrest all these new songs because we don't really play the new songs at shows yet. We kind of hold back because we know we'll probably be playing them for another year.
Mm-hmm.
So we're trying to hold some of them in the chamber. Uh, so we're kind of, when we recorded last summer and we're like, all right, well, time to relearn those now that we haven't touched them for 5 months,
Yeah. Yeah.
So we're kind of in that process this month and just trying to take it easy, make sure those are ready, work on some new songs, try to schedule some more recording in like April.
Mm-hmm. Are you gonna have the tapes at the day before show, or is it gonna be
Mhm.
like, yeah? Okay, well
Yeah,
that's
we will. We'll have tapes and CDs.
get them early, get them before it
Woo!
comes out.
I know the
Yeah,
day before.
and you
I
can
have been putting it that way. I'm like,
you
oh, you'll have them there.
you can rip it on your YouTube channel. You'll get home like 15 minutes before it drops on Bandcamp, and
That's
yeah,
Yeah.
that
you're
was
gonna
my joke. I was like, it's by the time we're back from the show, it's gonna come out. So
yeah, you're gonna have
officially,
like it's like the with the blind bags and the comic books. You're gonna have a controversy about the EP. Um, no, uh, I mean that I don't know. Like if somebody specifically is like, hey, check this out, don't leak this, and they do that, that's obviously like really shitty. But it would be to me, it would be really funny if like if I was like, yeah, you can get this the day early, and then somebody beat me by like 15 minutes, I would laugh. I don't know, but
right? That's what I'm saying. Is like if you
yeah,
really, I actually just think if you're gonna do that and like rip it and try to get it out early, I go, oh, tight. Someone thought we were cool enough to do that.
I was
Like,
gonna say I'd be honored if someone like bothered to be like, whoa, like they care about getting it early. Like it's gonna come out. Like you'll get it pretty soon.
yeah,
yeah, I was gonna say by the time we play at 9 o'clock or something or whatever time, I
Yeah.
go, I don't know. By the time everyone's back from the show, it'll be out. You
Mhm.
could be patient. We're also like pretty vehemently like, I don't know, you can listen to it for free. Like, what do we like? I guess if you want some file, like I think we'll probably give it out for free on Bandcamp, although I'm sure we haven't really totally decided.
yeah, yeah. It's funny to think about that kind of that kind of thing, like the way that the shift in music, like sharing and everything over the last 25 years or so. It's really funny to like think about you know bands at our level, like if it was like, I almost said a band name that I don't want to say. um I'm trying to think of the next like popular band whose politics don't suck, I can't come up with one offhand, but yeah, it was like if it was some band that people, if it was big and it's like and somebody's breaking it, then it's like, yeah, that might be different. But it's like you really skipped like going to Del Taco with your friends just to like get this and to onto YouTube like 15 minutes before it drops, like kudos, I
I'd be
guess,
honored.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, it's been a lot of fun chatting with y'all. I try to keep these at about an hour, and that's where we're about now. But is there anything that we didn't talk about that we should talk about before we take off? Or like, Chris, I'm sorry we got into a sort of one-sided conversation here, which is why I usually try to only chat with one person at a time. I'm always worried about that. Did I give both people enough time to talk? Is there anything else that we should talk about?
I mean, I think we covered it. I think you got like a little glimpse into us. Like me and Catherine both have a lot to say about like very different things, like very different like aspects of the band, and we're both like yappers. We'll both talk for hours and hours and hours, and so it's just kind of the way it shakes out. I feel great. I feel like I got my point across. I feel like I said what I wanted to say. Um, yeah, it's really cool to. I don't know. You were talking about like sharing and stuff like that, and it's always crazy to me. Like I said, most of my bands have been these like 6-7 month projects, where like nothing really happened. I'd play a show at the local bar a couple times, and then they'd break up. And so to kind of have this band go even just like a step or two further than that, and have the opportunity to share it with people and continually kind of be surprised at like reaching out, like Catherine was telling about like the like tape releases and tape labels and stuff, to kind of have enough kind of time under our belt where people kind of like hear us and like can develop an opinion or the idea of like something being like leaked early, even being a conversation, is just like hilarious to me. Like I've always played in like the absolute smallest bands. But yeah, no, this is just, it's such a cool format, and it's been really great to talk.
Yeah. I feel like I could talk forever too. Is one of the big things, even off the first question, is like talking about like, oh, how do you and Chris know each other? How do you meet? And it's like, well, we have a deeply funny ride, but it's less about how we met. Like me and Chris started dating while we were in this band. So like that's a pretty big change of like of artistic sharing and stuff. Like we'd been a band for over a year, and then we started seeing each other, and it's kind of funny, now it's like another year since, and it's like, oh, I've never been in any band like where I'm romantically engaged with somebody, like connected. It's a totally different way to engage in it.
Yeah.
Although it doesn't feel all that different than the format we've done.
Yeah, it's pretty similar. Yeah.
Yeah, when you said in the text like power couple, I was like, I'm not going to read further into this until I know, but yeah, it makes more sense now for sure. But yeah, like I said, really excited for people to hear the EP. That's going to be Valentine's Day. Catch y'all the day before. Upload it as soon as you can. Just leave the show. Just buy it
Yeah.
and then just leave. But buy like T-shirts and stuff first too, from every band. And that was my conversation with Catherine and Chris from It's You, It's Me, and There's Dancing. If it wasn't obvious, I had a great time chatting with them. Thanks to all of y'all for listening wherever you are as well. Don't forget to stop by patreon.com/humanmachine to sign up and support the show. Also right now, we have a raffle going where you can enter to win a chance to host the show. It's only $1 per entry, and you can enter as much as you like. Find us on Instagram @everythingremade to find out more. Until next time, take care and do good things.